Hey Capricorn, welcome to July 2020. Whew. A lot's been happening. Black Lives Matter. And I also want to say that the channel called The Revolutionary Revolution, I came up with this title because in 2013, that was kind of the beginning of my awakening process. I was in a particularly shitty job and I was like, wow, this sucks. Like, the whole system isn't just. Things shouldn't be this way. There needs to be a revolution. But I was thinking the revolutionary revolution would be about revolutionizing the way we do revolutions, which would mean, like, it's not just about, like, I need to acquire power, but, like, how do I rethink power, a personal power, what that means, how to, like, make sure everyone, like, can be in touch with their own power. So, a lot about power is coming up. And I also feel like with the strength card here, this is a perfect moment to really be inquiring and feeling into the power you already have. And I think that you'll be quite pleased, perhaps, or perhaps surprised to find that you have a ton of power. And I think that can be a little overwhelming, perhaps. We'll see. But with it up right here, I also feel like it's really you stepping up into it and owning it and getting comfortable with it and letting it actually become kind of like this easing into your true self. Like, I'm just saying words and I'm channeling shit, so, like, sometimes I barely know if I'm making any sense. But I kind of feel like what I'm getting out of this is, you know, people say step up into your power a lot, but it can be like, great, that's like a cliche. Okay, just step up into my power. What does that even mean to do that? I think it's like recognizing the effect and the impact you have. For example, this lion. This is the Leo card. I often think about Simba with the Lion King. Forgive me but that's what I use. Like, the Lion King is a story about Simba, who is afraid of his own power. He's been taught to deny his power. He's been taught to not trust his power. By who? Mostly by Scar, I would say. But also he saw his father, fall off a cliff. So it traumatized him. So sometimes we're afraid of our own power because our power, when we didn't know how to wield it or use it, has traumatized us in some way. And we've maybe been taught by the culture we live in to not trust our own power because our power threatens other people's sense of power. So some of us in this society are not taught not only not to believe in it, but have seen instances where it feels like this lion version of ourselves, this anger or this rage or this, like, passion or this kind of, like, drive or this ambition, like, we've seen and kind of, like, felt like, oh, your power is scary because it, like, hurts people, or, like, isn't something that, like, it feels like that's, like, the old narrative at least, but it's upright. So stepping up into that is, like, realizing, like Simba, like, when Rafiki hits him on the head, he's like, oh shit, like, people need me, this is bigger than myself, like, I have to use my voice, my roar. I have to do that because that's how I'm like calling out to the other lions, and so that there's, like, the whole, like, everyone can get together and, like, kick out Scar, I guess, which there are pretty obvious metaphors one can make politically at this time, so I think with this stepping up into your power, Capricorn, what I'm kind of going on and on about is, like, recognizing that the power has been within you all along. So this isn't something, like, that wasn't available to you before. It's not like you're finding something that was lost and, like, reclaiming it. It's more like you're understanding there's this whole energy system in your body that you haven't really been using to its full extent or what's possible because you haven't been directing that energy towards A, what you truly desire, and B, like, what is in the highest good of all, right? You've been, like, kind of either playing small or denying it or not trying, and now I think there's kind of like this It's almost like I'm getting Chariot vibes. I wonder if that came up for you. Oh, well, definitely the Eight of Wands, right? So, like, I did feel this. Like, I felt this energy of, like, this, you learning how to redirect your power, basically. You kind of, like, being in right relationship with this lion and, like, honoring the lion's strength, aka your strength, your inner strength, and your power to affect change. It's like you're really directing it all into, like, a concerted effort, I feel. Like, there's kind of this focus, and with the focus is this, like, whoosh, like, this rush of energy, and it's, like, this current. And also, I mean, we're in Cancer season, and we're in Mercury retrograde, but I really feel like this Mercury retrograde is actually, like, someone described it to me as, like, whitewater rapids, and it's, like, yes, but that can actually be, like, not thinking of it so much as, like, the rapids are a bad thing, but just kind of, like, being aware that, like, there's this, you are skilled at navigating the river, you have this energy and this experience and this strength, and you can go to, like, great new beginning. I mean, there's so much, like, good positive shit happening for you. Excuse my language if that bothers you. Eight of Wands is just really, I feel like, if it's like when you unblock all your chakras. I don't know if I've ever done that, but, like, I'm watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's like they talk about, like, the chakras as being, like, creeks of energy, and that's what I feel like with the strength card. It's like you're, like, unclogging your strength. You're unclogging your chakras. Like, things are now, like, really just in a flow, and it's being reflected in this flow, perhaps creatively, just all these ideas and, like, this ease. But it really feels like kind of what you've been denying is your own power, and the more you're, like, stepping up and owning, like, well, I actually really can make things happen, and I'm very powerful, and I do have, like, a lot of control over how I use this strength. It's like, whoosh, kind of, you're, like, being set off into the new dream. And with the Nine of Cups, I feel like this is, but also, okay, dual message here. Like, yes, there's this forward movement, this, like, energetic rush. And I think you're making new dreams or making new wishes. I think you have clarity, perhaps, around, I mean, with this Knight of Swords that came in, I feel like this is actually kind of, like, a clarity or a message, or just kind of some, like, okay, I have this deeper understanding of also the direction that I'm moving in, just because the direction is happening, right? Like, I see where I'm going more clearly because I'm being, like, the wind's blowing me that way, so that's must be exactly where I'm going, right? Like, you're really trusting the wind too, because the wind got unleashed from you kind of being like, oh, I had the power all along, basically. So your life's moving forward pretty quickly. In the middle of all this quick forward movement, ideas, inspirations, or just, like, external events, I think you're clarifying your wishes. And then talk about some retrograde energy, though, right? I mean, I feel like this retrograde is, this is, like, feels like such a retrograde reading. I mean, I guess it is. Okay. I'm just thinking about Capricorn, how you like to be in control, right? Like, this is not, you are in control and yet you are not. Like, it's both. Like, this has so much to do with a paradox, a little bit. A lot of these. But okay, forward movement from, like, really owning yourself and being in control of yourself. When I say you're in control of yourself, I mean you're in control of yourself energetically, right? You're in control of, like, what you put into your body. You're in control of, like, the exercise you get, how you take care of your body, like, the vessel you're in, the container that you're in, like, and how you deal with your negative emotions when they come up, and how you self-soothe. Like, that's all of this here. And so you're in this flow, and the flow is just like whoosh. And this again is like a wind at your sail. This is like forces greater than yourself moving you forward. So simultaneously, whenever you maybe try to approach work or try to approach actively moving on from something. Maybe you feel stuck in place. I would say this is an illusion, because this comes up, I think, especially during retrogrades. It's like, when I look, it's kind of like when I'm in when I'm in an airplane, I'm going 500 miles an hour. But when I'm sitting in the plane and the windows are down and I'm like sitting in the cabin, I don't feel like I'm going 500 miles per hour. I feel like I'm like in one spot, and that like it's like bumpy sometimes and it's a little freaky, but I don't feel like a whoosh, right? I don't feel this whoosh, even though there is a whoosh. So that's kind of what I'm saying with this 8 and this 8 is like, since you're not the one doing the moving for yourself, you might look at yourself and be like, oh, you're not doing anything. Like, the conscious mind. I really feel like this is like all subconscious work right here that's like really bringing your manifestations towards you very quickly. But on the surface, it looks like, oh man, like whenever I try to sit down, I have writer's block. Or like, oh man, like whenever I try to like start a new business plan, like I just like there's like flaws in it and it doesn't work. Like, I think on this external level, you're experiencing almost like the opposite of what's really happening. And I know that's like a weird thing to say, but that's how it feels to me. It's kind of like what you're seeing in the external world right now during Mercury retrograde especially is totally an illusion. It's not what's true. I mean, it's true in the sense of like you're where you're at and you're like dealing with what you're dealing with, but it's like the story you're telling yourself about it is very different than the story that is actually happening on the deeper level. So just to say that, like, I think this time, don't worry so much. And like, also we got this Hermit, right? So it's like, I think Capricorn, I think you're really unlearning so much, and that's so valuable. Everything you were taught to learn is about controlling and doing and making happen and making plans and like 5-year plans and blah blah blah. Like, that's what you've been taught, is like the do, make the use of every day, blah blah blah. But what's really happening is like you're manifesting like great destinies that are gonna like be moving forward very quickly because of like your increased power, strength, and because of the power of your wishes and your ability to manifest, right? And to become right with yourself and to be in alignment with who you are and to know your own capabilities. So there's a ton of process here. And weirdly, doing nothing is the way to get to the destination of your dreams so much more quickly. It's kind of like you're at a train station, right? And your train is like barreling towards you so quickly. Like, your train is going to be here any second right now. Like, your train is on the way. And it's moving really, it's like the time it was supposed to arrive like in an hour. No, I'm sorry. It was supposed to arrive in like 5 hours, and now it's going to come in like an hour. It's all happening so quickly. Your conscious mind is like, oh, I'm at this train station. Like, I better, like, you know, rush around and do things. But I think it's like, you don't need to, there's nothing to do but wait, really. You don't need to, like, it's like required, like, this Mercury retrograde is just like kind of calling on your patience to believe that what is meant for you is actually coming your way, that your train is going to arrive, and it doesn't really matter how you spend this hour right now. And you might like rushing. It's almost kind of like this energy too of like, oh my god, these readings are so crazy now. But you know, if I'm working on like an assignment in the train station, but I'm like so rushed, then maybe the work itself isn't going to be good, and I'm going to have to go back and redo it anyway. It's kind of the Mercury retrograde vibe. It's like, yes, you want to like be constructing and building just because it's like how you're wired as a Capricorn, but things aren't going to go according to your plan. They're going according to this greater divine plan that has everything to do, like, with, like, as you know, if you follow Abraham Hicks, it's like what you put in your vortex is, like, coming at you so quickly. And that really all you have to do is just to, like, keep waiting and holding on to that strength and staying at your train station because your train is coming in. And so you want to be there to catch it when it arrives. And, like, honestly, just chill out and relax in the meantime. Hermit, right? Just chill out and relax in the meantime. Just chill out and relax. There's nothing to do, really, is kind of the overall bigger picture message of this month. Like, if you're, like, wondering, like, what's my action plan? What can I do to, like, you know, embody this strength? It's like, just chill. And just relax. And just process. And just hang out in safe places on the internet that bring you joy. And just kind of maybe even get off your computer and, like, look at the sky and, like, breathe and take in your breath and, like, get in touch with your body. Like, really just these feeling into your true self elements. It's really all you have to do. You don't even have to do that, but, like, being calm within yourself, telling yourself things like, it is safe to be in my body, all of that. Like, I think that's really what this month is calling on you to do, is, like, when you're on the, like, plane, or you're in this travel mode, or, like, your life is, like, moving beneath, you know, your feet at 500 miles per hour, and you have this time, this kind of, like, you're in between, you're either waiting for the train, you're in the plane, you're, like, kind of in this travel mode, this cosmic transit, you know, excuse me, in terms of what you do on the external, whether you work on something or you try to make things happen, it's just kind of like, it doesn't, if it brings you joy, yes. If it serves you, yes. But, like, don't put the pressure on yourself, I guess. Doing things is allowed, but it's not required right now. And, you know, let your process be your process. Let your process be informing you. Don't worry about controlling the process. And I know that can be so tough for us Capricorns, because we like to be the ones climbing the mountain, right? Like, we like to be seeing all the work we're doing paying off. And being kind of more of a passive passenger on a train or a plane, and, like, not, you know, being kind of, like, at the will of forces greater than us, requires some faith and surrender and, like, trust in this energy of, like, what is happening within our core being reflected outside of us. Shit. I hope, who knows if these readings make any sense, but I'm channeling them, so that's what I got. And if you liked it, great. I hope it resonated, and if it didn't, I guess it wasn't your message. So, I love you, and I'll see you again in August. Bye.